Everyone is laughing at Manchester United again. They think United are washed. They think United cannot compete with City and Spurs. But while everyone is laughing, something far more dangerous is brewing. Because Man United and Carlos Baleba just will not go away. And before you say Carlos Baleba is overpriced, overhyped, or coming off a dip, ask yourself one question. What if this deal is about to become the heist of the summer? Because the Premier League has not seen the real Carlos Baleba yet. The real Carlos Baleba Man United's data team fell in love with. So stay with me. Because there are 7 reasons why Carlos Baleba to Manchester United is way scarier than most people realize. The fake dip, the Brighton trap, the real Carlos Baleba profile, the Kobbie Mainoo nightmare, the Michael Carrick unleash, the Premier League fear factor, and why this could become the midfield heist that makes every rival look silly. Because the question is not whether Carlos Baleba is worth the risk. It is whether Man United are about to buy the monster built to dominate before the rest of the league realizes he was never broken. Before we go deeper, hit like and subscribe if you enjoy these United breakdowns. It really helps the channel reach more United fans. Part 1. The fake dip. Our rivals want you to believe Carlos Baleba has dipped. The lazy analysts are saying his head was turned. The speculation got to him. The hype was too much. And Manchester United should stay away. But that is too easy. Because to understand Carlos Baleba, you must dig deeper and look at the role, and not just the rumor. Under Roberto De Zerbi, Carlos Baleba was being introduced. He was young, raw, rotational, learning the Premier League, learning a strict build-up system where one bad position could break the whole structure. Then Fabian Hürzeler arrived and unlocked him. That was the real breakout. More freedom, more power, more carrying, more pressing, more of the Carlos Baleba who made people think, hold on, this kid is different. But then the tactical picture changed again. And when the role changed, the output changed. That is where the fake dip comes from. Not because the talent disappeared, not because Carlos Baleba was exposed, but because the version that made him scary was not always the version Brighton used. And that is where Man United see the opportunity. They are not chasing the quiet version, they are chasing the unleashed version. So yes, the dip was real, but the cause matters. And if United understand the cause, this becomes the heist, not a broken player, a monster waiting for the right system again. Part 2. The Brighton trap. Brighton know exactly what Carlos Baleba can become. That is why they want huge money. But the longer this drags on, the more complicated it gets. It is widely reported Carlos Baleba wants United. Brighton can try to hold firm. They can demand the monster fee. They can act like they control the whole market, but they also know the risk. Because if the player is not fully happy, if the role is not fully right, and if another season passes without the explosive version returning, then the valuation starts getting questioned again. That is the trap. Brighton are not selling a finished superstar. They are selling the version everyone believes is still inside him. The powerful Carlos Baleba, the vertical Carlos Baleba. So United are not just looking at the player, they are looking at the timing. Can they get him before the price explodes again? Can they move while rivals still think the dip is a warning? Can they take advantage before Brighton regain all the leverage? That is why this deal is dangerous. Because if Man United get the real Carlos Baleba now, this does not look like panic. It looks like timing. And timing is how smart clubs win the market. Part 3. The real Carlos Baleba profile. Carlos Baleba is not just legs. He is not just power. He is not a destroyer who wins it and gives it simple. The scary part is the blend. He gives you ball winning and ball carrying in the same body. He can drop deep with a man on his back, take contact, spin away, and suddenly Brighton are out of pressure. That is not normal. He has been clocked at 34.16 kilometers per hour, one of the fastest central midfielders in Europe. His take-on success has been around 58%, higher than players like Declan Rice. And under pressure, with an opponent close, he still keeps it at over 80% pass completion. So, this is not chaos without control. This is controlled violence. Then you add the progression. He is not a sideways merchant. He can break lines with carries. He can hit longer passes. He can bypass 6 defenders with one action. And defensively, he is not chasing shadows. Tackles, blocks, fouls won, dribbler suppression. The blindside nick before the opponent even feels him coming. That is the real Carlos Baleba profile. Not a pure 6, not a pure 8, a modern midfield weapon. And if Michael Carrick puts that next to Kobbie Mainoo or Ederson, Man United do not just get a midfielder. They get a cheat code rivals cannot press, bully, or run through. Part 4. The Kobbie Mainoo Nightmare. Carlos Baleba, next to Kobbie Mainoo, gives opponents two completely different problems at the same time. Kobbie Mainoo gives you calm. Carlos Baleba gives you violence. Kobbie Mainoo can receive under pressure, protect the ball, and keep the rhythm moving. Carlos Baleba can take that same pressure, explode past it, and turn the whole midfield line around. So how do you press that? If you jump on Kobbie Mainoo, you leave space for Carlos Baleba to drive through. If you step onto Carlos Baleba, you give Kobbie Mainoo time to dictate. If you sit off both, United start controlling the game. That is the nightmare. It is not just about having two talented midfielders. It is about the balance of their weapons. One slows the game down, one speeds the game up, one controls the temperature, one changes the weather. And under Michael Carrick, that can become a proper seesaw midfield. When Carlos Baleba carries, Kobbie Mainoo drops. When Kobbie Mainoo controls, Carlos Baleba can step higher and hunt. When United lose it, Carlos Baleba attacks the ball while Kobbie Mainoo protects the space. That is how you build a midfield that can breathe under pressure and still punch forward. This is not just a partnership. It is a problem for every team trying to press Man United. Part 5. The Michael Carrick Unleash. This is where Michael Carrick turns Carlos Baleba into a Premier League problem. Because the unleash is not just go and run. It is structure, it is protection, it is giving Carlos Baleba freedom without leaving Manchester United open. That is why Ederson matters. If Carlos Baleba is the hunter, Ederson can be the engine behind the hunt, the one who covers ground, wins second balls, keeps counter-press alive, and gives Carlos Baleba the license to jump, press, carry, and attack space. Then you add Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo gives the calm. He can drop in, receive under pressure, and keep United breathing when the game gets frantic. So suddenly, Carlos Baleba is not carrying the midfield by himself. He is being released by it. That is the scary part. Because if Manchester United add profiles like Alex Scott, Mamadou Sangaré, or Ayoub Bouadi, the system becomes even more dangerous. Alex Scott gives creativity and carry. Mamadou Sangaré gives bite, duels, and defensive violence. Ayoub Bouadi gives press resistance, intelligence, and long-term control. Michael Carrick is not building a midfield of random names. He is building a midfield of roles: control, chaos, recovery, progression, protection. Carlos Baleba becomes the weapon in the middle of all that. And if Michael Carrick builds the right structure around him, this is not just a signing. It is a midfield transformation built to dominate for years. Part 6. The Premier League fear factor. Carlos Baleba changes the actual feeling of playing against Manchester United. Because right now, too many teams still believe they can turn United into a mess. Press them high, win the second balls, force the midfield backwards, make the game physical, make it chaotic, make United uncomfortable. But Carlos Baleba changes the temperature of that battle. Because suddenly, chaos is not something United fear. Chaos becomes something United can use. If you press him, he can roll away. If you leave space, he can carry through it. If you make it physical, he can meet contact and still drive forward. If the ball breaks loose, he is one of the first players to arrive. That changes how opponents approach United. They cannot just jump onto Kobbie Mainoo and expect the midfield to collapse. They cannot just crowd Bruno Fernandes and think the supply line dies, because now there is a player in there who can turn pressure into territory. That is the fear factor. Carlos Baleba does not just help United defend, he helps United punish teams for being brave. That is what a happy Carlos Baleba brings. Part 7. The Heist of the Summer. If United pull this off, rivals are going to pretend they never laughed. They will say Carlos Baleba was always obvious. They will say the talent was clear. They will say this was always the smart move. But that is not the truth. The truth is, this is the window where the deal becomes a heist. Not because Carlos Baleba is cheap, he is not, but because Man United stayed calm, refused to be bullied by the market, and started acting like a serious recruitment team again. They did not panic. They did not chase the obvious names at stupid prices. They waited for the right profile, the right moment, and the right weakness in the market. And if that player is Carlos Baleba, then rivals might have laughed too early, because Man United would not be buying a midfielder who needs rescuing. They would be buying a midfielder who needs releasing. The happy Carlos Baleba, the unleashed Carlos Baleba. The Carlos Baleba who turns midfield into territory and transitions into punishment. That is why this deal is scary, not the fee. But what comes after the fee? Carlos Baleba under Michael Carrick, next to Kobbie Mainoo, could become a serious Premier League problem. So be honest, is this the heist of the summer, or are Man United about to overpay for another Brighton gamble?